If you're a salon or spa owner, cosmetology school gave you the skills to serve clients, but it didn't prepare you to run a business. You probably thought ownership would mean freedom, but instead you're working harder than ever, barely paying yourself, and worried that everything's going to fall apart the second you step away. Welcome to the station, where we give you real strategies, systems, and structure so you can step into the CEO seat where you belong. Hey, friends, welcome back to the station. This is the podcast for salon and spa owners who know they want more from their business and they're ready to have the honest conversations that most other owners avoid. I'm Brie, founder of the Beauty Biz Agency, and I am here by myself today. So this episode is going to feel just a little bit different than usual. Now, before we even get into today's topic, I just want to say this, and please hear me. This episode is not about attacking anyone. And it's definitely not about shaming any salon or spa owner out there, okay? Trust me when I say I know how hard it is to run a beauty business, especially if you run a commissioned salon or spa and you have employees. I've been coaching business owners for about 8 years now, and I can honestly say that I know most of you out there are not deliberately trying to do anything wrong when it comes to business ownership. Most of you are just trying to keep your business doors open, trying to take care of your team the best that you can, and trying not to feel like you are constantly behind. But a lot of times we make decisions and we genuinely think they are the best choice in that moment. Or we take advice from people that we trust and we just do what they say. Or maybe we even copy what we've seen other salons doing because whatever they're doing seems to be working for them. And the majority of the time, when we're making these big decisions in our business, we are making them while we are completely stressed out, we are completely exhausted, or we are literally just trying to survive the second that we are living in. And when we do that, certain practices, they get passed around, and then people repeat them. And eventually, they just kind of become the way that it's done in this industry, even if nobody ever really stops to ask whether those practices actually make sense or not. And that causes some really, really big issues. One of the biggest problems that I see in the beauty industry is that we are taught how to be great at hair, at skin, at nails, right? But we're never taught how to run our business. Sure, cosmetology school, it teaches you how to perfect your craft, but it does not teach you how you should price services, how to build margins, how to structure your payroll, or how to even understand what makes a business financially healthy. So many of us out there, we open our doors and we're already behind, even though we don't realize it at the time. So today we are going to talk about pay. And I know that this gets very, very uncomfortable for a lot of people. And the first scenario that we are going to talk about, I know that I've mentioned it before. We've talked about it before on this podcast, but it is still happening far, far too often in this industry. So I think it's really, really important that we touch on it briefly. One of the biggest pay problems that I see salon owners making is paying commission and issuing 1099s. I get it. I know people love to treat this like it's some gray area, but it's not. There is no gray in this area at all. If someone is commissioned, they are a W-2 employee. If someone is 1099, they are an independent business owner, period. And those are two completely different relationships. And when you pair commission with a 1099, you are misclassifying people. There's no way around it. That's what's happening. And I understand a lot of owners out there are doing this because they were told that it's fine, whether that be from somebody on Facebook or a coach out there or their accountant. Accountants are notorious for this, but accountants don't always know the law. A lot of reasons that people do this misclassification is because they're told that it's easier or it's cheaper. But what's really happening is payroll taxes are not being paid. And that responsibility is quietly being shifted over to the worker. That's why this isn't just some technical mistake. It's a leadership problem. I don't care what you say. That's exactly what it is. Because when you choose to open a salon and you choose to have employees, you also choose to take on employer responsibilities, all of them. You don't get to separate the two. There's no possible way of doing that. And here's the part that I want to say plainly. If your business only works when payroll taxes are avoided, then your business does not actually work. Renaming the problem isn't ever going to fix the problem. All it's doing is buying you a little time until things get really loud and stuff starts to blow up. Because when things like this get flagged, it affects everybody. The owner is responsible for back taxes, for penalties, for interest. You heard me right, the owner, not the stylist. It doesn't matter what the stylist signed, what they think they understood, none of that matters. It doesn't matter if both parties agreed to this. Nope. Misclassification is determined by how your business operates, not by preference. And on the other side, on the stylist side, it's going to show up at tax time. They are going to owe way more money than they ever expected. And they're going to feel blindsided. Even if they don't confront you about it, something is going to shift. And I can promise you, trust between the two of you are going to take a major, major hit. If you're listening to this right now and you're realizing that this is happening in your business, please hear me when I say this. This doesn't make you a terrible person, but it does mean that you have something that needs to be corrected. Now, if you are doing this and you've heard this podcast before and you know it's wrong and you've continued to do it, then yeah, you need to look inside a little bit. I'm not going to lie. You need to look at what you're really doing and ask yourself why running an unethical business is okay for you, because it shouldn't be. This industry has a bad rap when it comes to owners. And this is one of the main reasons why. Okay, I know where a lot of your brains go next. If I switch to W-2, how am I ever going to be able to afford it? And that thought kind of tells us everything, right? It tells me the issue isn't really classification. The issue is that the business was never built to support payroll in the first place. And this kind of leads me into the second problem that I am seeing more and more of in this industry. And I'm not going to lie to you guys here. This one makes me extremely worried for the beauty industry. But to be completely honest, it makes me extremely, extremely angry. There are coaches out there telling salon and spa owners that it is okay to deduct backbar, color, and other expenses before commission is being calculated for your employees. Think about that. Let's slow this down for just a second. What is commission? Commission is a percentage of the service revenue. The service happens, the client pays, and the stylist earns a percentage of that revenue, right? When you deduct expenses first, you are reducing the commission after the work has already been completed. You are paying the employee on less than what they generated. That is not running a tighter ship. That is shifting business cost onto your team's paycheck. That's wrong. It is wrong in so many ways. And from the stylist perspective, it feels like, well, crap, I did the work. I know that the client payment went through. Why didn't I get paid on all of it? Sure, they may not articulate that to you clearly or perfectly, but trust me when I say they are going to feel that inconsistency. Because busy days aren't translating the way that those stylists expect. Their income is very, very hard to predict. And that trust is going away big time. Here's the core truth of it. If your prices don't cover payroll and expenses, the solution is absolutely not to take money out of your employees' commission, out of their paycheck. If your margins are tight, the solution is not to take money out of your employee's pocket. If your cost went up, the solution is not to take money out of your employee's pocket. Those are business problems, my friend, not payroll problems. pulling from commission is never going to fix the problems that you have. The problem is your business model, plain and simple. And as a business owner, expenses are always your problem. They are never your employee's problem. If your employees wanted business expenses, they would go out and open their own business. I mean, what's next? Are you, the owner, going to start charging your employees for electricity and for internet? Of course not. That sounds ludicrous, right? Then why in the world would you ever think about charging them for color and backbar? It's ludicrous and it is bad leadership. You get the tax write-off for those things. So you are technically double dipping. It is unethical in every way, shape, and form. It's actually illegal in certain places, but I am way more worried about people purposely doing unethical things in this industry. It's horrible. I get it. I know some of you are shaking your head right now. But if you really think about it, you know I'm right. Here's what real and good leadership looks like. The business pays for the business expenses. Employees are paid on what they earn. And pricing is built to support both. That's exactly what it looks like. It's not that hard. Most salons and spas that are out there struggling with their pay structure, they aren't struggling or failing because their team is overpaid. So why would you take money from them? They're struggling because their prices were set years ago and never rebuilt as your cost went up and changed. This means the business outgrew its old math. You cannot run a 2026 business on 2016 numbers. It's never going to happen. And your team should not be the shock absorber for your outdated numbers, period. Now, I also want to say this as gently as I can, but as honestly as I can. Avoiding this in your business, it doesn't make it go away. It just makes your problems bigger. If these are the issues that you're having in your business, you can't just fix it overnight. You also don't have to burn everything down in the process. What you do have to do is be willing to actually look at it and come up with a solution. At the end of the day, you're the one who has to live inside the business that you're building. You are the one running your payroll. You're the one answering the questions. You're the one laying awake at night thinking about money. So when you're making pay decisions, I don't want you asking, how can I get away with this? How can I cut corners? No. What you need to be asking is this correct? Is this the right way to do things? Is this the ethical way to do things? Is this fair? Would I want to be paid the way that I am paying my employees? Would I feel confident explaining this out loud to my team without over-explaining and justifying it? A lot of time as leaders, when we are doing something we know we shouldn't be doing or we don't understand, we tend to justify and we tend to over-explain. It's just how it works. If you will ask yourself those questions and live by that standard, they will never steer you wrong. I promise. You know, at the end of the day, none of this is really about commission or times or backbar or percentages. It's about whether you're willing to look at your business honestly and take responsibility for the structure that you are running inside of your business. It's about whether you want a business that feels like a constant negotiation with reality or a business that feels stable, predictable, and honestly clean. Most of the stress owners live with isn't because they are bad at business. It comes from a lack of understanding. It comes because they're trying to operate on structures that were never designed to support what they're asking the business to do. You can never outwork a broken model. Trust me, I've tried. It does not work. You can't mindset your way past math. You can't culture your way around a structure that is never going to hold. It's just the way that it goes. Something else that I want you guys to think about is there is a lot of information out there now. Your employees, your stylists, they are smart. They're learning and they're picking up on things. They are understanding that they're being misclassified. They are realizing how unethical it is for business owners to take color expenses and backbar expenses out of their commission. Word gets around, and it gets around quick. It will affect, like I said earlier, your trust and your culture in the long run. Is that really what you want to be known for? I sure hope not. Guys, if this episode, if it stirred something up for you, I don't want you to go into shame mode. I don't want you spiraling. All I want you to do is get curious. I want you to start asking better questions. Where is my business relying on shortcuts? Where am I hoping things will magically even out instead of intentionally rebuilding them? Because awareness, it's always the first step. And I promise you this, owners who build strong, long-term, profitable beauty businesses, they are not the ones who got everything right from day one. They're not. But what they are is they are the ones who were willing to pause, to look at what isn't working, and to make grown-up adjustments, even when they're uncomfortable. To say, you know what? I followed this process and I messed up. It's not right, but I'm going to correct it now. You don't need a perfect business. You don't need to be doing what everybody else is doing just because it saves you a few dollars or it sounds good. What you need is a clean business, one that can pay people correctly, one that can support itself, and one that actually lets you sleep at night. That's the work. And I promise you, it is 100% worth doing. That's a wrap, guys. That's a wrap for today. If this episode made you pause, question something, or realize that there are areas of your business that need attention, you don't have to figure this out alone. You can grab free resources and explore all of our coaching options at thebeautybizagency.com. We can even help you sort through what actually needs to change and what just needs a little bit better structure. Hey, if this episode spoke to you or it helped you out, please share it with another salon or spa owner who needs to hear it. And don't forget to leave us a 5-star review so that other owners can find us. Also, make sure that you're subscribed so you never miss out on what we have coming up next. You can keep up with everything we have going on at the Beauty Biz Agency by following us on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at the Beauty Biz Agency. And you can find us on TikTok at Beauty Biz Mentors. That's a wrap. You've been listening to The Station, where salon owners stop doing what they think is okay and they start running their businesses the right way so their teams can make great money and they can build something sustainable as owners. Until next time, lead with clarity, take responsibility for the structure you've built, and don't compromise long-term stability for short-term fixes. Now go out there, make bank, run the show, and ditch that chair. And as always, keep slaying those business goals with a whole lot of swagger. If this episode lit a fire under you, don't just walk away and let it die out. Deep down, you already know where you want your business and your life to go. And the truth is, the only thing standing between where you are and where you want to be is a real plan to get you there. That's exactly what we help you build. So if you're ready to stop trying to figure it out on your own, head to thebeautybizagency.com and book your free strategy call. That call can give you the clarity that you've been needing and a real plan to move your business forward. Because at the end of the day, the only thing standing between you and the salon business you've been dreaming about is whether or not you're willing to take the action and the steps in order to build it.